Alrighty, you guys, what is up? We're back to give our final episode breakdown for Twisted-Wonderland's season one. So we got through all 8 episodes of the first season, basically taking us through the prologue and the epilogue. Either of the two. I think it's prologue is the first one. No. Anyway, so we got through that, and then we got through book one. So we got through all 28 chapters of book one, and I believe it was like 15 to 20, somewhere around there for the prologue. Anyway, so the episode title was Finale for Heartslabyul, which, if memory serves, I do believe was also, which for the most part has been the case, except for in the case of the Dwarves Mind thing being changed to Enchanted Mind, but pretty much all of the episodes have shared their name word for word with one of the uh, book one chapters for the game, and I'm not too sure on the chapter names for the manga. They have names, I would assume, but I'm not 100% sure on what those names are when it comes to the chapters, if there's any. But anyway, so this episode covered more or less chapters 24 through 28 of the game. No true differences, honestly. Just and it was kind of the everything culminating into its kind of its peak, and then like the events that happening before everything went back to normal and kind of tied things up with a little bow before also dropping that teaser about season two with the spell drive tournament and the savanaclaw dorm. So but anyway, so one of the first things to know outside of the recap, which was basically just like kind of Riddle start having going full overblood and starting to attack. But one of the things to note is that we didn't directly get an opening. The opening is still played at different points in the episode, and it was used as the outro song specifically. But so in lieu of that, we actually did not get obedience as the final theme at all. So we that was kind of one of the first things to note there. And then as far as the main events of the episode that are outside of the recap, one of the things that a line that was said that was similar to in game, but it about Riddle. It was Cater saying he's gone full evil, crazy berserker. So that was kind of made me think of like Edia's thing of where he kind of assigns a kind of like game character archetype. This person's a glass cannon, this person's a tank, this person, so on and so forth. So that berserker thing did kind of make me think of that character archetype. And then we have Crowley telling everyone not to alert the professors and the house wardens because they need help because everything that's happening, the student safety is being prioritized. But then at the same time, we have everyone trying to both defend themselves and figure out how to solve the problem that's going on with Riddle being overblotted. And in one point, Riddle is referred to as Lord Riddle, which is kind of not a bad title, honestly. For him, I feel like it works. And then later on, we do also have the return of the Red Sovereign title does make its comeback when we have the unbirthday party at the end. And we keep getting different combat animations. We have the Overblot Phantom using the rose bushes and this runnings in order to attack. We have Yuken using the Kendo weapon to more deflect than full out attack, but he's using it quite well. But he's kind of trying to block the attacks, and as things go around, we have them saying that they need to retreat to the Hall of Mirrors, and right at that point is when we see a three-pronged attack courtesy of Deuce, Ace, and Grim. So we have Deuce summoning the giant cauldron, Ace using wind magic, and Grim breathing fire. And then at that point is where we get, after a little bit of talking and cutaways, kind of like, oh, this is going on, but we see them attacking and defending. We have Trey opting to stay behind with Deuce, Ace, and Grim in order to help figure out the stuff about hopefully preventing death and harm to anyone. So Crowley leaves alongside the others to work the evacuation, while Trey, Cater, and the others stay behind to try and defend Riddle. Well, defend themselves from Riddle while also helping him. Then at that point, we see more. Granted, it's the same kind of the same ones we've seen over these past couple episodes, but we get slight more breakdown of the childhood and the flashbacks that show Riddle, Trey, and Chenya. So we have them playing together, the whole thing with Riddle's 8th birthday, the strawberry tart. Yeah, so we have all that stuff. That the only kind of difference was, I think, just the implication that it was his 8th birthday rather than just like something. And then when Cater stays, I forgot the exact lines that led up to it, but basically he's like, all right, I'm safe. But just so you know, I do not like or subscribe to this. So given that Cater is very much kind of like social media trained, and well, not trained, but very social media forward, so to speak. That was kind of funny. Then we get to see that the blot is actually corroding the ground around them while Riddle attacks. Grim is pinned down by the blot, and the blot starts to spread onto his ribbon. Trey uses his signature spell, Paint the Roses, to help free Grim and try to help out the others as they're going their thing. Deuce is sent flying, and upon hitting the ground again, he drops his mage pen, which, aside from helping with the accumulation of blot, is also kind of how they're, especially at their level, how they're able to use the pen and the stone within it to use magic. And then during that part, we do get Cater jumping in to protect Deuce, only to end up getting stabbed by the, I don't know. I don't know if it was like, I think it's like the magic attacks that the Overblot Phantom is using. It's like kind of like chess piece looking things, but they're all like black because of blot. But anyway, that was like pretty cool animations. My descriptions aren't really doing it justice, but the animation was actually pretty cool to watch play out as they did all the battle stuff. Then at that point, when we see Cater get stabbed, it turns out to be just one of the split card facsimiles. So we have the second use of unique spells for this episode. And then, according as we can see here, based with the out of the 4 images that aren't the promotional poster for the anime, we do have on this bottom left one, we see what is basically like the animation for a dual magic attack in the game. We see that kind of like split screen and them talking to each other dynamic. And then we get a couple quotes from Riddle throughout the episode, mostly obviously because everything that's happening with the blot, it tends, as they explain it, it's when the magic, everything that's used is just too much, and you kind of get corrupted by all your negative emotions, frustrations, all that stuff. So it does have to do, all these quotes do pretty much have to do a lot with Riddle's trauma throughout the years. And one of the ones that we get is that he must be right. Like must, like the, like I don't care if I do something not wrong because it has to be right, but like incorrectly, like not the proper way. Like as long as the end result is what has to be the case, then like I don't care if like people get mad at me type deal, which is how everything was going prior to the whole overblot situation. And then another kind of slight paraphrasing of the quote would be like of a different quote would be, if I'm not right, then what was all this for? What has this all been for? Type situation of like, no, I gave up on so much in order to be right all the time that if I'm not right, this one specific case or no, in multiple cases, like if I'm not right in this, and what was the point of giving up on everything that I've given up just for the sake of being right? And then throughout more of the combat scenes, we do get to see, mostly commenting wise, but we see them kind of mention that Riddle is starting to lose focus. So now we have Yuken basically being like, okay, we need to actually plan properly how to do attacks and whatnot. So if we go kind of even more battle scenes, so we have Yuken donning his kendo, the rest of the mask, the kendo outfit, and right as we get into these last bits of the battle, piece of my world does start to play in the background, so we do get that the more kind of like instrumental aspect. I don't quite remember if we had the singing part, but given that there was a lot of action kind of happening in the time, it would be safe to say that it was just the musical aspect of it rather than the vocal as well. Anyway, so as they start to make ground, we have their whole team battle thing. So we have Ace and Deuce doing with their duo thing, which we don't get to see that kind of same cutout that we see of Trey and Cater, but we do get to see that kind of duo spell dynamic happen again. And we have another quote this time by Yuken that a wavering sword belies a wavering heart, which is kind of a good quote. Like, it kind of speaks more to like the heart part, which is like if you're unsure, if you're wavering, like you're not fully committed, it'll be noticeable in like in your effort or in the way you, in this case, use your sword. Like if your sword is, if it's shaky, if you look unsure or unconfident in that regard, then it's because you are not fully in it. And then as that's gone through, we have with everyone's help, we have Yuken uh, getting closer and closer to Riddle, only to end up hitting the overblot Phantom to stop Riddle. We have him kind of crack the head thing of what would be the overblot Phantom. Then, as Riddle's defeated, we do get more of the childhood flashbacks, more so with the mom this time. So that's where we get a bit more of the exposition of it being his 8th birthday and the stuff that how strict she was. And then one other kind of pretty powerful quote from the episode was because Riddle's like, okay, no, I went on this path because it seemed to be the proper one based off everything I knew that. But now he's like, which one do I follow to be rid of this pain? So it's like speaks a lot to his trauma, and honestly, I felt like it was like one of the more powerful quotes of the episode, alongside Yukin's about the wavering sword and wavering heart. And then another also, once we kind of snap out of the flashbacks and everything, we get Riddle waking up after having lost the battle and everything, so he's no longer in overblot form, which is good but also bad because the overblot outfits are usually pretty dope. Well, not usually, pretty much all of them are good. There's like some I like a little bit less, but every single one of the overblot transformations is very well done. Right, so once he comes to, they all make up. We get this whole thing. No, Riddle said that he at one point he says that he really wanted to eat the chestnut tart, but he couldn't because of the rules. So we have this whole kind of apology, acceptance, but also Deuce being sorry, not Deuce, Ace, understandably mind you, but being upset. He's like, "What we went through all this, and then just you kind of have not haphazardly. He does mean it, but like just one simple sorry is like what it takes to get to be good with everyone again. So understandably he is kind of upset by that. Then as we near a little bit more of the last bits of the episode and whatnot, we have the riddle. We don't get any new rules, but we do get him kind of being like, "Oh, I understand. No, these rules they have their thing, but this is what I don't like about it." He's like, "Oh, no, what if I wanted like an extra cube of sugar with my tea, or like that he liked the specific tea, but they can't drink it past a certain point." So we get to see him that more human side of it of like, oh, okay, I don't like this either, but no, being in the position that I am, it was my job to make sure it gets followed. So we get to see both sides of it after everything that's been happening. And we do get to see Riddle crying. He apologizes, and then for everything that happened, Ace demands that they get a redo of the unbirthday party. And as they're kind of everything's getting wrapped up as we finish the battle here, we have Trey and Crowley taking Riddle off to the nurse's office, which apparently they have a nurse's office. Just kind of a funny, because even in game they said nurse, but it's funny just because like imagining like a nurse's office, like kind of rinky-dink office. Granted, this is like a magical world with magic and like stuff like that. So the nurse's office there would probably be pretty state of the art, or like good for even if it's like ancient magic or whatever. But it'd be like like a powerful thing rather than just a like kind of little small room with like a bench and stuff. So then as after the battle as well, since we saw this happen with the um overblot monster from the dwarves mine, or enchanted mine as far as the anime is concerned. But so we have Grim eating the Overblot Mage Stone once again. So this is a common theme that we see throughout the game, and that we'll see with the anime as well. He eats each of the Overblot Stones from each house event. So he eats the Overblot Stone. He eats the one for Heartslabyul, savanaclaw, octavinelle, scarabia, pomefiore, ignihyde. Presumably diasomnias as well, but I don't think as far as like the story content I've seen so far with what's on the North America server that's been shown. But anyway, yeah, so he just goes around eating all the overblot stones basically. He eats some grass also, so we get to see more of that little kind of like playful animal end there. Then we get to see into the next day, so we have the unbirthday party happening. We get to see Riddle being introduced as a Red Sovereign, everything starting over. They mentioned the dormouse and the teapot having red roses, white tablecloths, and then Riddle presenting the strawberry tart to Ace as the apology, but not being to like everyone that's there, like he made. Which, as they try it, it is unbelievably bad, unbelievably salty because he used the oyster brand, or not oyster brand, it's walrus brand oyster sauce, I believe it was, that Trey says was a secret ingredient in all tarts. He mentioned it before, but Riddle actually did it, so it was just a super salty, not so good cake tart thing. Then we see Chenya appear. Yeah, we do get some Chenya time, if I remember right, or at least for sure in the game. I don't recall right now for the anime, but I'm pretty sure Chenya showed up briefly, which is where we get the little bit of Yep, we do see them at the birthday party. I was just scrolling through my notes right here. So we get to see Chenya. We get you can taking pictures of stuff throughout the birthday party with the ghost camera. So we see that come back in, and then as we get to see the pictures and stuff, we get to see we get to hear "Piece of My World" playing as the outro song on top of all this. We see in the pictures Grim eating cake. We see Cater and Trey. We see all the, some of the other students. We get just kind of the goings on of the unbirthday party. And then at the end, one of the pictures is also we get to see Riddle using seemingly casting magic, and it is making instruments float up in the air and play their music. And then we get to see the Heartslabyul group photo, which is everyone. So Riddle, Trey, Cater, Deuce and Ace, and then Grim as well. And then while Chenya is there at the end birthday party, we get at first they asked him, what dorm was he on? I thought he was like savanaclaw because he's like an animal. But here's where we get the news that Chenya is not a student at Night College. He's from Royal Sword Academy, which is the rival school to Night College and one of several other arcane academies that exist within the Twisted-Wonderland world. As far as in the game, we've only got three other ones that have, well, three total that have a name: Night Raven, Royal Sword, and Noble Bell are the ones we see. Noble Bell being from the Glorious Masquerade event, which is the Hunchback of Notre Dame, Rollo Flum, Count Frollo event that's been going on for the past couple years. Dropped 2 years ago, and we had 3 years ago. We had the rerun last year, and we had the rerun this year. But anyway, so Royal Sword Academy seems to be more based with the heroes, or at least like the good characters, because as far as the characters we've seen outside of Chenya, who is supposed to be the Cheshire Cat, we have Neige Blanche, who shows up in at least for sure book 5. I don't think he shows up before then, but he's like the Snow White character, and we get to see, since he's Snow White, we get to basically see the dwarves, so we get to see them, but in like Twisted Wonderland fashion, like anime boys. So while this exposition on the rivalry between Night Raven and Royal Sword is happening, we do get the kind of teaser / information for what season 2, book 2, second section of the manga, all that is going to cover the next storm. Which, as far as the order they use, with the game and everything, it's after Heartslabyul we have savanaclaw. So we're going to be moving on from Alice in Wonderland to the Lion King. So we're going to have more of a focus on Leona, Ruggie, and Jack. So we have Leona, who is the Twisted Wonderland version of Scar, Ruggie, who is the version of the hyenas, and Jack, who is a wolf. Yeah. And then we get that kind of savanaclaw teaser section where Leona and Ruggie are talking about the spell drive tournament and everything that's going to be happening. And then at first, just because we had the savanaclaw outro, I thought there was no little chibi theater, but there turned out to be a chibi theater, which we mostly had Riddle, Cater, and Trey be more prominent features in it. We have Riddle kind of spiraling at first because like, damn, now how's it gonna be now that I don't have to worry about the rules? I don't have to go as crazy with all this now. So we have him. We get into the next morning where he's all like, as he sees kind of students that are like breaking rules and stuff. He at first like, oh, I'm cool, like it's okay. This stuff happens. You don't have to leave exactly 15 minutes after you finish your meal. It's like then they're like 16 minutes. It's okay. Then in that same scene, it got to the 17th minute, and that's when he started like getting crazy again. So it just kind of shows in a funny way that kind of thing with the underlying moral being moderation is key, since we see him kind of course correcting a little too hard, and we see him kind of like oversleep, neglect things, all the different foodstuffs and all that. Now, as far as the rest of this, the only other note we had outside of the game stuff, that since there was not that many things different overall, because it was like these last kind of scenes pretty much just focused on the final battle with Riddle and the unbirthday party and the teaser for Savannah Claw. But so we had chapters 24 through 28 in this episode, the teaser for Savannah Claw, and as far as episode content, we had only technically one twist which is the one titled Paint Them Together, which is the one that we do at the end of, well, not at the end, but it's like the last chapter. So we do that in the Heartslabyul finale chapter for the game. But anyway, guys, that's gonna be it for this one. We gave kind of like overall thoughts, reactions, breakdown of the episode. We'll go over at some point in the next couple weeks, just because we also have the book 7 update videos, and now, as of time of recording, it is the Arcane Combat Drills of Vargas event. So we'll be do it a little after these other videos, just for the timing of things. But we'll come back to do a full video. Well, not that this hasn't been a full video, but we'll do a video that is about season 1 as a whole, stuff like that. So we'll give a slightly deeper breakdown, potentially. Go over more thoughts, predictions, stuff like that. So keep your eyes out for that content. And as always, thank you guys so much for joining. Feel free to share and like the videos, subscribe to the channels, all that good shit truly helps out and is appreciated. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Thank you so much for being here. Peace out.